Hello, Scott here again. You may recall in the last video we did something savoury with the carrot. Well, in this particular video we're going to stay with the carrot, but we're going to use it as a sweet ingredient. The interesting thing about the carrot is that apart from its orange colour, which I talked about before, originating from the Netherlands and being hijacked by that particular country as their national food, it is the most eaten food on the planet, most eaten vegetable on the planet, should I say, is the humble carrot, after potatoes, which follow a close second. The beta-carotene inside this carrot is particularly good because of its antioxidant and anti-aging qualities. Especially taken raw, you've got that antioxidant going into your bloodstream, but you've also got a lot of fibre here, which is fabulous, which is very important when you're eating vegetables because it's the fibre which actually carries the nutrients into the body. And once those nutrients have been absorbed from the chyme, which is created in the stomach, and it's absorbed through the small intestine, the fibre that remains from that then goes off and looks for any bad bacteria which happens to be sitting in the lower intestinal tract. So things like carrots, particularly important in your daily diet. Okay, now this particular video we're going to be doing a carrot chocolate mud cake, which sounds pretty amazing, and it is pretty amazing, and it tastes like an ordinary mud cake, but it just is made of pure vegetables. Okay, now let's turn to the ingredients for this carrot chocolate mud cake. They're really simple and straightforward. They're pretty jam-packed with a whole lot of wonderful nutrients. First of all, the basis of it is the humble pecan nut, this is an Australian nut. It's actually, you can buy it anywhere on the planet, but it's a beautiful high fibrous nut that's available anywhere around. Grab some of those. We're going to be looking at approximately 1.5 to 2 cups of pecans. We're going to be looking at around about a 1/4 cup of raisins. We've got 6 medjool dates which have been completely pitted, and we've got about 1/3 of a cup of coconut palm nectar syrup. Now this is the sweetness. This is a low GI sweetener, around about 28 to 32 GI on the glycemic index, as opposed to white sugar, which is up as high as 85, so this is ideal. 2 medium carrots grated. Now you can vary any of this volume, of course, depending on the number of little cakes that you want to make. Then we've got around about 200 grams of desiccated coconut, which again adds some binding qualities to what we're wanting to prepare right now. 1/3 of a cup of raw cacao powder, which is absolutely brilliant. This is just choice stuff, and it's all organic, by the way. Then we're going to go to the same in carob, which actually just adds another sweet dimension. And you can see the difference between cocoa and carob, can't you? Very similar. They're beans that come out of trees, but one just has a different taste flavour. The carob is a lot lighter. And then we're going to use 2 tablespoons of flax meal, and the flax meal of course comes from the flax seed. This just helps to bind it together, and of course has some protein elements in it as well. And we're going to use around about a teaspoon of vanilla essence. This is pure organic vanilla essence as well. Okay, so let's actually begin now to just bring our ingredients together. In go the nuts. Let's put the carrot in next, okay, because we want to actually break that down quite considerably. And let's just throw the raisins, oopsie-daisy, and the dates. Now the idea is that we actually, this is the bulk of our volume as far as the ingredients are concerned. So let's just give this a rip and break it down as much as possible before we actually begin to put the other lighter ingredients in. Okay, so that's it, nice and broken down. The main components are broken down brilliantly. If you need to add a little bit of water just to give it a bit more moisture there to help the breakdown. Now that's the pecan nut, that's the carrot, okay, and we put the raisins and the dates in there. Now let's just add the rest of our ingredients. Let's just add some of the coconut. I won't put all of that in. There we go. Let's just add some of the carob. That's fine. And the coconut, sorry, the cacao. Beautiful. Nothing like raw cacao. And the flax meal. Just leave a little bit of that out. And penultimate before the vanilla. Let's just put our sweet in there. That is just beautiful. Just beautiful. It's one of my favourite sweets, this coconut palm nectar. It's just so good for you. Excuse me. Yummy. Now a little dash of vanilla. Usually about a teaspoon. So put a teaspoon in there. Quite strong. Just a dribble. Okay, and let's just turn that back on. And you'll see it basically discolour. It'll go nice and chocolate brown. When I say discolour, it'll go a nice chocolatey colour. And the idea is it's going to be relatively thick and fibrous so that we can actually form it into any one of these food forms here. And these are stainless steel food forms. You can use any food form you like, medium, large, small or medium. So here we go. Okay, so just halfway through this, the idea is just check on progress. It's coming together nicely. Just add a little bit of water just to moisten it up. Don't over moisten it. And set it off again until we can get it nice and fine, and that's the key to this whole thing. Okay, that's about it. Looking good. So we'll just get the spatula in there and just take off the air, just pop that away. And the idea now is to fill up our food form. Just get that off the blades. I've got a double S blade here and it works pretty well. But with the amount of work that I actually do with plant-based ingredients, I would like my food processor to go a little faster. So in the next video, I've got the brand new machine that I'm actually going to use to show you how to make things go faster. Alright, so we're going to use the large one. What I suggest you do is grab a bit of grease-proof paper and we're going to fill this up and create a nice round cake form. We're going to put it in the freezer for about half an hour and then we're going to come back and make the icing because there's a lovely icing that goes on the outside of this as well. Okay, so just grab a spoon and what we're going to do is just fill up this food form. Just fill up the spoon, fill up the food form, and we're going to just pat this down in just a sec once we've got enough in it. Beautiful. Give it a twiddle around. This is the beauty of actually having a round food form, is because you can actually manipulate it to get everything in, which is fab. And just a little more. Now the last time I made these, with that ingredient list that I gave you, I made about 4 of these shapes. So and they store well in the refrigerator, or actually the freezer. So we were eating chocolate mud cake for a couple of weeks. Wonderful with chopped fruit over the top as well. Okay, so that's it basically. It's in its food form, and we're going to actually just now put that, I'll just smooth that off the top there, put that in the freezer, and once it's firmed up a bit, we will then use the spatula to take it out, and it'll be nice and firm, and then we can look at actually putting our icing on the top. So I'll pop this in the freezer right now. Okay, 30 minutes has passed and we're going to create the icing for our beautiful carrot cacao mud cake. I've left over some of the original form here just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So it's quite thick, it's quite fibrous, and it's absolutely delicious. Alright, let's just have a look at the ingredients. So what we've got here is we've got a couple of avocado, which is going to form the base of the icing. We've got a half a cup of coconut palm nectar here. Half a cup of cacao powder, raw cacao powder, a couple of dessert spoons of coconut oil, which has just helped to firm it up a bit, and a dash in the form of a half a teaspoon of vanilla essence. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, and also I've got some garnish ready as well. I've got just a persimmon here, seasonal person, and I love the color. I love this time of the year, so I've diced some of that up and I've cut off some of the skin, which we can actually garnish the top of the mud cake with. All right, so let's put everything in the blender now. Okay, so first thing in, we'll drop the avocado in. We'll add the cacao powder. And the syrup. This is the coconut palm syrup, which is just awesome. It's like gold, this stuff. It's not expensive, but it's just so, what's the word? Unctuous and sweet and delicious. Yummo. We'll drop the coconut palm oil, shall I say, the coconut oil in. And here's a dash of the vanilla. Now this is as simple as it is. It's not something that's complicated, and this is the beauty of all of this. It's so easy, and away we go. Okay, so while that's going, we'll just grab the cake out of the freezer. And just let that thaw out a little bit, because it needs to be just a bit warmer and it'll come out of the top. Alright, now this is looking absolutely brilliant. The thing you have to watch out for is just any lumpy avocado, because sometimes you get just little lumps of avocado in this, but it's looking absolutely brilliant. I can't begin to tell you what that looks like, except that it looks like a real icing. Alright, so we'll just grab some of that out of here. I think the first thing we should do actually is just take this out. To take this out of the form, so just grab a knife and just take it around the edge of the food form, and then just lift that off very, very gently. Alright, there we have it. And the idea is you just use your knife just to square this off. Just clean up the edges a little bit. We're going to cover this up anyway, but that's looking pretty good. Alright, now the next thing we do is just grab a little bit of the icing. Just take it straight out of here, honk it on the top, and just smear that over. I want it to go down the edges. You see how authentic that looks? It's absolutely incredible. Of course, I've made so much here, but I know Elijah's going to like to eat some tonight. We'll just do around the edges. You see this? It just looks like the real thing. Don't worry if it's a little bit rough and ready, because that's what it should look like. Just something that's quite organic. Look at this here. And just cake that on. How awesome is that? A really chocolatey mud cake. One of those Black Forest Gâteau type cakes. Alright, and I'm just going to leave it like that. This is going to go back in the freezer. But what I'll do, just to finish things off, I'm just going to put a little bit of the persimmon on the side here, because you can serve this with it. And just roll up some of these here and make little spirals on the top. There we go, just for a little bit of colour. How awesome is that? And then just a little bit of that on there as well. Now, this would ordinarily go back in the freezer just to harden up a bit. Even in its ice state, it will stay in the freezer for up to 2 or 3 weeks. So you can make a large one of these if you want to, and actually just dig into it on any given night for a sweet dessert. But how amazing is that? That's absolutely incredible. So remember, you know, when you're basing your lifestyle around purely plants, it's not hard, it's not difficult. The idea is just to do one simple and new thing every day, including tackling a recipe like this, because all you're doing is combining the ingredients and working a bit like an alchemist to bring those ingredients together in the most amazing way. Then of course you finish it off with something like this beautiful icing. And these are the sorts of things that are served in gourmet plant cuisine, raw food restaurants around the world. They're very tasty and they're hyper good looking, and I guess absolutely brilliant to eat. Good looking and brilliant to eat, you can't go wrong. So until the next video, stay in good health, and remember, if you've got any questions or queries, feel free to send me an email about anything. And until the next video, just stay well and be happy. Cheers.